The crystal wine glasses clinked as Elizabeth Montgomery raised a toast, her perfectly manicured hands steady despite the third glass of Bordeaux. To family success, she announced, her eyes fixing on me with barely concealed disdain. Well, most of the family's success. I sat quietly at the massive dining table, watching my mother-in-law perform for her usual Sunday dinner audience. My husband James shifted uncomfortably beside me, but remained silent. He never did have the courage to stand up to his mother. Such a shame about your little boutique, Christine. Elizabeth continued, false sympathy dripping from every word. I warned James that retail was such a risky business. Not everyone is cut out for the corporate world. My name is Christine Chen, and at 34, I was watching my mother-in-law celebrate what she thought was my financial ruin. After 2 years of her careful sabotage, she believed she finally succeeded in proving I wasn't worthy of her precious son or the Montgomery family name. These things happen, I said mildly, taking a small sip of wine. Business is unpredictable. Elizabeth's smile widened. She loved it when I played the defeated daughter-in-law. Of course, dear. Not everyone can build something lasting like Montgomery Cosmetics. 30 years of success doesn't come easily. I thought about the documents sitting in my home office, signed and ready for tomorrow morning's board meeting. Elizabeth had no idea that while she'd been busy destroying my small chain of boutiques, I'd been orchestrating the biggest business coup in her company's history. Mom, James attempted weakly, maybe we should talk about something else. Why? Elizabeth cut him off. We need to discuss your future, James. Now that Christine's financial situation has changed, perhaps it's time to consider other options. I knew exactly what she meant by other options. Victoria Pierce, the daughter of Elizabeth's best friend, had recently returned to town after her divorce. Elizabeth had been not so subtly pushing her towards James for months. My phone buzzed quietly. A message from Marcus, my lawyer. Everything's set for tomorrow. Board votes confirmed. She won't know what hit her. I excused myself to the bathroom, needing a moment to compose myself. In the massive marble bathroom of the Montgomery mansion, I stared at my reflection and thought about how it had all started. 3 years ago, I'd been the rising star of the retail world. My boutique chain, Style Haven, was expanding rapidly, featured in major fashion magazines, and attracting attention from luxury brands. Then I made what Elizabeth considered my fatal mistake. I married her son. James and I had met at a charity gala. He was sweet, kind, and completely dominated by his mother. But I loved him and foolishly thought love would be enough to overcome Elizabeth's disapproval of my new money status and Chinese-American background. The sabotage started small. Elizabeth would casually mention to her society friends that my boutiques were having quality issues. Key suppliers suddenly canceled contracts. Landlords unexpectedly raised rents or refused to renew leases. Each problem seemed random, but I knew better. What Elizabeth didn't know was that I'd been recording everything. Every casual phone call where she urged suppliers to drop me. Every meeting where she pressured property owners. Every subtle threat she made to anyone who did business with Style Haven. But more importantly, she never bothered to look closely at the group of investment firms that had been quietly buying up shares of Montgomery Cosmetics over the past year. Why would she? The companies all seemed independent, legitimate, with no connection to me. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Marcus. Final share count confirmed. You control 62% through the holding companies. Board meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. I returned to the dining room just as Elizabeth was starting another story about her business success. It's all about connections, really, she was saying. The right people, the right background. You understand, don't you, Christine? Perfectly, I replied, thinking about the connections I'd made while building my case against her. The suppliers who'd provided documentation of her interference. The property owners who'd recorded her threats. The executives at her company who were tired of her outdated leadership and discriminatory practices. James touched my hand under the table, a small gesture of support he only dared when his mother wasn't looking. He had no idea what was coming either. I kept him in the dark to protect him, and to ensure his reactions tomorrow would be genuine. More wine, Christine? Elizabeth offered, her smile sharp. Drown your sorrows. No, thank you, I said. I have an early meeting tomorrow. She couldn't resist the opening. Oh, still trying to save your little shops? Sometimes it's better to just admit defeat gracefully. I thought about the times I cried in private over her sabotage, The night spent rebuilding after each attack. The careful planning and patience it had taken to turn her own tactics against her. Actually, I said, it's a corporate consulting meeting. I've been exploring new opportunities. Elizabeth's smile turned condescending. How nice. Perhaps something more appropriate to your skills, retail sales perhaps? James started to object, but I squeezed his hand, stopping him. Let her have this moment. Let her think she won. Tomorrow would be soon enough for truth. As dinner wound down, Elizabeth pulled James aside for a private word, one she ensured was just loud enough for me to hear. Victoria's looking lovely since her return, she said. You remember how close you two were in college? Sometimes first choices aren't the best choices, darling. I gathered my things, pretending not to hear. Elizabeth Montgomery had spent 3 years trying to drive me out of her family and destroy my business. She thought she'd succeeded. In less than 12 hours, she would learn how wrong she was. Christine, she called as we were leaving, don't be a stranger. Just because things didn't work out with your business doesn't mean you're not still family, in a way. I turned back, unable to resist one small hint. Thank you, Elizabeth. You've taught me so much about business, about how to acquire things people don't want to let go of, about patience. Tomorrow should be interesting. She frowned slightly, but I was already walking out, James following behind me. In the car, he apologized again for his mother's behavior. I don't know why she's like this. I should have said something. It's fine, I assured him. Everything's going to change very soon. What do you mean? I patted his hand. Just be ready for tomorrow's news, and remember that I love you. That night, I reviewed everything one final time. The evidence of Elizabeth's sabotage, carefully compiled and ready to be released if needed. The shareholding documents showing my controlling interest in Montgomery Cosmetics. The board votes already secured. My phone lit up with a final message from Marcus. All systems go for tomorrow. Elizabeth won't know what hit her. I smiled, thinking of Elizabeth's smug toast to family success. Tomorrow would redefine exactly what that meant. The Montgomery Cosmetics boardroom felt different at 8:45 a.m. as I took my seat at the head of the table. Elizabeth's usual chair, but she didn't know that yet. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see her arriving in the parking lot, strutting toward the building with her usual air of entitlement. Are you sure about this? Marcus asked quietly, arranging the documents we'd need. Once we start, there's no going back. I nodded, thinking of all the nights I'd spent building up to this moment. She chose this path, Marcus. She just didn't expect anyone to fight back. Elizabeth swept into the room at exactly 9 a.m., faltering slightly when she saw me. Christine, what are you doing here? Her eyes narrowed as she noticed me in her seat. That's my place. Not anymore, I said calmly as the other board members filed in. Please take any other seat. We have a lot to discuss. This is ridiculous, she snapped, remaining standing. I'm the CEO of this company. I don't know what game you're playing. Actually, Marcus interrupted smoothly. As of this morning, Ms. Chen is the majority shareholder of Montgomery Cosmetics, controlling 62% of voting shares through various investment vehicles. This emergency board meeting has been called to address the leadership transition. The color drained from Elizabeth's face. That's impossible. I would know if someone was buying up shares. Would you? I asked, opening the folder in front of me. Like you knew who was really behind the Pacific Ridge Investment Group or Summit Valley Holdings. You've been so busy trying to destroy my business that you never noticed who was buying into yours. The other board members were watching with barely concealed interest. Many of them had their own stories of Elizabeth's tyrannical leadership and discriminatory practices. This is absurd, Elizabeth sputtered. James will never allow. The boardroom door opened and James walked in. I called him early this morning, finally explaining everything. He looked pale but determined. Hello, Mother, he said quietly, taking a seat beside me. Elizabeth's face twisted with rage and betrayal. You knew about this. I just found out, James replied. And after hearing everything, all the ways you tried to destroy Christine's business, all the manipulation, I fully support her taking control. The votes are already secured, Marcus added, distributing documents to everyone. The board has agreed that a change in leadership is necessary for the company's continued growth and ethical operation. I watched Elizabeth's carefully maintained facade crack as she realized the depth of what was happening. "You can't do this to me," she whispered. "This company is my life. Like my business was mine." I asked quietly, "Before you systematically destroyed it?" "I have evidence of everything, Elizabeth. Every threat, every manipulated contract, every sabotaged deal." I projected the evidence onto the boardroom screen. Emails, recorded conversations, sworn statements from suppliers and property owners. 3 years of careful documentation of her campaign against me. "You could have just accepted me," I said as she sank into a chair, watching her carefully constructed world crumble. "Could have given me a chance to prove myself. Instead, you decided I wasn't good enough for your son or your social circle. So you tried to break me." The board members were reviewing the evidence with growing concern. Elizabeth's actions hadn't just been personal. They'd been unethical and potentially illegal. "What do you want?" Elizabeth finally asked, her voice hollow. "I want what I've earned," I replied. "Control of this company, a chance to modernize it, expand it, make it better than it ever was under your leadership. And I want you to understand exactly how it feels to have everything taken away by someone you underestimated." Marcus began distributing the severance agreements we prepared. "You can exit gracefully," I told Elizabeth. "Keep your social standing, your country club memberships, your place in society. Or you can fight, and I'll release everything I have to the press. Your choice." Her hands shook as she read the documents. "You've thought of everything, haven't you?" "I learned from the best," I said. "You taught me that patience and careful planning are everything in business. That sometimes you have to let your opponent think they're winning before you make your final move." The next hour was a blur of signatures and legal terminology. Elizabeth signed everything put in front of her, her perfect makeup failing to hide her devastation. By 10:30, she was no longer CEO of Montgomery Cosmetics. As she stood to leave, she turned to James one last time. "She planned this all along," she said bitterly. "She married you to get to me." James shook his head. "No, Mother. I married her because I loved her. You're the one who turned it into a war. And you lost." After Elizabeth left, the board quickly approved the transition plan we developed. By noon, I was officially CEO of Montgomery Cosmetics, with a mandate to modernize and expand the company. That evening, James and I sat in our home office, processing everything that had happened. "I wish you'd told me sooner," he said quietly. "I needed to protect you," I explained, "and I needed your reactions to be genuine. Your mother had to believe you knew nothing." He nodded slowly. "What happens now?" "Now we rebuild. Both the company and our family, but on different terms." Over the next few months, Montgomery Cosmetics underwent a transformation. We launched new product lines, modernized our marketing, and expanded into international markets. The stock price soared. Elizabeth retreated to her country house, emerging only occasionally for carefully selected social events. The whispers followed her, about how her Chinese-American daughter-in-law had outmaneuvered her, taken her company, proven herself more than worthy of the Montgomery name. A year later, I sat in what had been Elizabeth's office, reviewing quarterly reports. The company was thriving, our market share growing. The phone rang, Elizabeth's number. "I understand now," she said without preamble. "What I did to you, what it feels like." "That was the point," I replied. "The company, it's doing better than ever." "Yes." A long pause. Perhaps I was wrong. About you. About everything." I thought about the years of pain she'd caused, the nights I'd spent crying over her sabotage, the careful planning it had taken to turn it all around. "Yes," I said simply. "You were." Another pause. "James mentioned you're expecting a girl. Due in March. I would like to be part of her life, if you'll allow it." I looked at the family photo on my desk. James and me at last year's company gala, both smiling genuinely for the first time in years. "We can try," I said carefully, "but things will be different. No manipulation, no games, no trying to control everything." "I understand," she said quietly. "You've certainly proved you're stronger than I thought." After we hung up, I walked to the window, looking out over the city. Elizabeth had spent years trying to prove I wasn't good enough for her family or her company. In defeating her, I'd proved her right. I wasn't just good enough, I was better. The company flourished under my leadership, expanding into new markets and product lines. James found his own strength, starting a charitable foundation that worked to support small businesses affected by corporate bullying. And Elizabeth? She learned what it meant to be on the other side of power, to have to ask instead of demand, to accept instead of control. Sometimes, at family gatherings, I catch her watching me, not with the old contempt, but with something like respect. She's learned that true power isn't about destroying others to maintain control. It's about building something stronger from the ashes of what others tried to destroy.
The chandelier light caught my simple black dress as I sat at my parents' mahogany dining table. Everything about their mansion screamed old money, from the vintage wine collection to Mom's diamond-encrusted silverware. "Emma, darling," Mom adjusted her Bulgari necklace, eyeing my outfit with disdain. "Couldn't you have worn something more appropriate for a family dinner?" I touched the fabric of my dress, hiding a small smile. The cryptocurrency tracking watch on my wrist buzzed silently, another $1 million fluctuation. "This is what I could afford," I said quietly, playing the role they'd assigned me years ago. My sister Victoria snickered, cutting into her Wagyu beef. "Can't even afford a decent dress. Still playing with your little computer games." If they only knew those computer games had built the world's most sophisticated crypto trading algorithm. Speaking of money, Dad cleared his throat. "Victoria just closed another major investment deal. $200 million in traditional securities." He beamed at my sister. "That's how real investing is done." Mom nodded approvingly. "While some people waste time with that internet money nonsense." My phone vibrated. Another alert from my autonomous trading system. Bitcoin had just jumped again. "How's your, what do you call it? Crypto whatever business going?" Victoria smirked. "Still living in that tiny apartment?" I took a sip of water, checking my phone discreetly. My latest blockchain project had just gone live in Asia. The numbers were staggering. "It pays the bills," I said mildly. "Bills for what?" "That thrift store dress." Victoria laughed. "God, Emma, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? Even my assistant makes more than you probably do with your internet coins." Dad set down his wine glass. "We worry about you, Emma. This cryptocurrency obsession. It's not stable. Not like traditional investments. Your sister manages billions," Mom added, "while you sit in your apartment playing with computer money." My phone buzzed again. The Korean markets had just opened and my algorithm was performing exactly as designed. Another $1 billion added to my wallet. "Maybe I could help you find a proper job," Victoria offered with fake sympathy. "Something with a real salary. You clearly need it." She gestured at my dress again. I pulled out my phone, appearing to check the time. Instead, I opened my crypto wallet, watching the real-time value counter tick upward. "How much do you think she has in her little Bitcoin account?" Victoria asked Dad. "A few thousand? Enough for a proper dress finally." "Victoria," Mom scolded gently, "don't mock your sister's hobby." My phone lit up with another alert. The European markets had exploded overnight. I made a show of checking it, then set my phone on the table, screen up. "What's that?" Victoria squinted at the number displayed. Is that $8.3 billion, I said calmly. "Give or take a few million depending on market fluctuations." Dad's fork clattered to his plate. Wine sloshed over the rim of Mom's glass. "That's impossible," Victoria whispered. I turned my phone toward them, displaying my crypto wallet's current value. "About that dress, Victoria? The one I'm wearing? It's actually a Chanel original. I just prefer simple things." $8 billion. Dad's face had gone pale. "Well, that's just the visible wallet," I said, taking another bite of dinner. "The secure cold storage accounts are obviously private." Mom's hands were shaking. But you live in that small apartment." "Because I don't need a mansion to validate my success," I replied. "Though I do own the building. And the entire block." "You're lying." Victoria stood up, wine glass trembling in her hand. "This is some kind of joke." I pulled up the day's trading history on my phone. "See that autonomous trading algorithm that just made headlines? The one that's revolutionizing the crypto market." I smiled. "I built that in my tiny apartment." "The Forbes article," Dad whispered. "The mysterious crypto billionaire they've been trying to identify. That's me." I finished for him. "Yes. Though they underestimated the numbers quite a bit. $8 billion is just what I keep liquid for daily trading." Victoria collapsed back into her chair. "Daily trading?" My phone buzzed again. "Excuse me," I said, standing. That's my team in Singapore. The new blockchain platform just launched and I should really take this call. Blockchain platform? Mom's voice was faint. Yes, the one that's about to revolutionize international banking, I said, heading for the door. Oh, and Victoria? Your investment firm? They actually use my trading algorithm. You've been working for me all along. I left them sitting there staring at my phone's display, still showing the billions in my crypto wallet. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's letting them discover just how wrong they were, 1-0 at a time. The dining room erupted into chaos as I stepped into the hallway to take my call. Through the open door, I could hear Victoria's shrill voice demanding explanations while Mom appeared to be hyperventilating. Ms. Walker, my chief technology officer's voice came through the phone. The Singapore launch exceeded all projections. Major banks are already implementing the platform. Numbers? I asked, listening to Dad knocking over his wine glass in the background. Initial adoption rate is 300% above estimates. Your net worth just increased by approximately $2 billion in the last hour. Victoria appeared in the hallway, her designer dress wrinkled from her abrupt movements. This is some kind of trick, she accused, waving her phone. I just tried to look you up. And found nothing? I smiled, muting my call. That's because I value privacy. Unlike some people, I don't need to broadcast my success. Then prove it, she challenged. Prove you're not lying. I unmuted my phone. Marcus, please activate protocol revelation. Family edition. Yes, ma'am. Displaying now. Suddenly, every screen in the house, from the dining room TV to Dad's precious smart home displays, lit up with real-time data from my crypto empire. Trading volumes, platform statistics, bank adoption rates, and my various wallet balances flashed across every surface. Dad stumbled into the hallway, his face ashen. This is revolutionary, I suggested. The banking platform your daughter just mocked is currently being adopted by every major financial institution in Asia. That computer game I was playing? It's now the backbone of modern crypto trading. Mom appeared behind him, clutching her pearls. But your apartment, your clothes. Our choices, I finished. I choose to live simply. Though my tiny apartment takes up the entire top floor and houses one of the most advanced trading servers in the world. Victoria was frantically scrolling through her phone. The Walker algorithm, the one our firm pays millions to use. That's you? Your firm pays my company $20 million a month for partial access, I confirmed. The full version costs quite a bit more. Marcus's voice came through my phone again. Ms. Walker, the European markets are opening. Your algorithm just detected a major trading opportunity. Shall I execute? I checked the projection on the nearest screen. Yes, allocate $2 billion to the trade. $2 billion. Dad choked. Just like that. Just like that, I nodded. While you were mocking my internet money, I was building the future of finance. The screens updated in real time, showing the trade's execution. Numbers rolled up like a digital tsunami, my wealth counter ticking higher with each passing second. Your sister's investment firm, Dad said weakly, uses your technology? Most major firms do, I shrugged. That big deal Victoria just closed? It was only possible because of my trading algorithm. In fact, I checked another screen. About 40% of her commission goes to my company in licensing fees. Victoria's legs gave out, and she slid down the wall to sit on the imported marble floor. I've been working for you. Technically, you've been beta testing my systems, I corrected. Your trades help refine the algorithm. So, thanks for that. Mom had found her way to a chair, fanning herself with a $1,000 decorative fan. But why hide it? Why let us think that I was poor? I raised an eyebrow. Because money isn't everything. I wanted to build something meaningful, not just show off wealth like. I gestured at their ostentatious surroundings. My phone chimed again. Marcus's voice was excited. Ma'am, the trade just completed. $3 billion profit in 8 minutes. Dad's knees buckled. Victoria made a sound like a deflating balloon. $3 billion in minutes? Mom whispered. The algorithm predicts market movements with 99.9% accuracy, I explained. That computer game you mocked? It just made more money than your entire family fortune in the time it takes to order coffee. The screen's updated again, showing my new net worth. Victoria's eyes rolled back slightly at the number. Now, I straightened my simple black dress. I have a video conference with the World Economic Forum. They're quite interested in how my internet money nonsense is transforming global finance. Wait, Dad stepped forward, his voice shaking. Your sister's firm, our family's investments, are safe, I assured him. I've been protecting them through my algorithm all along. Consider it a daughter's gift to her family. I paused at the front door. Even if that family never believed in her. Emma, Mom called out weakly, your dress cost more than your car, I smiled. I just don't feel the need to show off labels. Success isn't about what you wear, Mother. It's about what you build. As I walked to my waiting electric car, a custom model that cost more than their house, I heard Victoria's voice floating through the window. She owns my company's trading algorithm. I've been working for my little sister. The next morning, my penthouse apartment's AI system announced an incoming call from Victoria. On my wraparound digital walls, real-time crypto trades flowed like digital rivers of gold while global markets responded to my latest blockchain innovation. Your sister has attempted to contact you 17 times in the past hour, my AI reported. Your parents have made 32 attempts. I sighed, watching another billion flow through my trading algorithm. Except Victoria's call. Her face appeared on my digital wall, her usual perfectly coiffed appearance notably disheveled. Emma, I haven't slept all night. Researching my company? I asked, noting her reddened eyes. You're the ghost trader, she whispered. The one who transformed crypto trading. The algorithm my firm pays fortunes to access. We've been trying to figure out who created it for years. I took a sip of my morning tea, watching as another successful trade completed. How you know? Why didn't you tell me? Her voice cracked. All those times I bragged about my trades, my success, were made possible by my technology, I finished. Does it change anything knowing that now? Before she could answer, my AI announced, Ms. Walker, the World Economic Forum presentation is ready. Also, your new blockchain platform has just reached 1 trillion in transactions. Victoria's eyes widened at the casual mention of trillions. Emma, I need to reevaluate some things? I suggested. Like how success doesn't always wear designer labels or live in mansions. My phone buzzed with an urgent alert. I pulled up the notification on my digital wall, splitting the screen with Victoria's call. The markets were shifting exactly as my algorithm had predicted. Excuse me, I said, typing rapidly on my holographic keyboard. I need to execute a major trade. Victoria watched in stunned silence as I moved billions between cryptocurrencies, the numbers flowing like water across my screens. In 3 minutes, I'd made more money than her firm handled in a year. That's more than our entire family fortune, she whispered. In minutes. Money is just code now, I explained, finishing the trade. The future of finance isn't in your traditional investment deals, Victoria. It's in understanding how to make the code work for you. My AI interrupted. Your parents are attempting to enter the building, Ms. Walker. I sighed. Let them up. To Victoria, I added, you might want to come over too. Time for a proper family meeting. 20 minutes later, my family stood in my penthouse office, staring at the wall-to-wall digital displays showing my empire in real time. Dad's hands were shaking as he watched the numbers tick up. This is what you've been doing? Mom touched one of the screens gently. All those times we thought you were struggling. I was building this, I gestured to the displays. Every mock, every dismissal, every pitying look just motivated me more. Victoria walked along the trading displays, her investment experience letting her grasp the scale of what she was seeing. You're not just rich, she realized. You're changing how money works. The Walker algorithm doesn't just trade, I explained, bringing up my latest project specs. It's reshaping global finance. Those computer games you mocked? They're now the foundation of a new economic system. Dad collapsed into one of my office chairs. We were so wrong. Yes, I agreed simply. You were. My AI announced. Ms. Walker, your crypto wallet has just exceeded 10 billion in liquid assets. Would you like to execute the predetermined trades? Mom's knees buckled slightly. Victoria caught her arm. Execute, I commanded. Turning to my family, I added, that's just the morning trading routine. The real work happens in blockchain development. Real work. Victoria repeated faintly, watching billions move across my screens. Speaking of which, I brought up a new display. Victoria, your firm's license for my algorithm expires next week. As family, I'll give you a discount on the renewal. Instead of 20 million a month, let's say 15. She nodded numbly, still staring at the trading figures. And Dad, I turned to him, those investment strategies you've been so proud of? My algorithm has been quietly protecting and enhancing them for the past year. Consider it a daughter's way of looking out for family, even when they didn't believe in her. Mom stepped forward, tears in her eyes. We were such fools. No, I corrected her, you were just looking at success through an old lens. But the world has changed. Money has changed. Power has changed. I gestured to my digital empire. This is what real wealth looks like now. My AI chimed again. World Economic Forum standing by for your presentation on the future of digital currency. That's my cue, I said, straightening my simple black blazer. Feel free to stay and watch. You might learn something about those computer games I play. As I prepared to address the world's financial leaders, I caught Victoria's reflection in my window, staring at my screens with a new understanding. Mom and Dad stood behind her, finally seeing their youngest daughter clearly for the first time. The Chin family's Sunday dinners were always an exercise in traditional expectations. Tonight, the familiar scene played out in grandmother's opulent mansion. Cousins showing off engagement rings, aunties comparing their children's marriages, and me sitting quietly at the end of the table, my bare left hand drawing disapproving glances. I adjusted my simple black dress, deliberately chosen to appear modest. My real wardrobe, worth more than this entire mansion, remained hidden in my penthouse across town. Victoria, Aunt May called out, still no special someone? My phone buzzed silently, another update about tomorrow's announcement. She's too busy with her little website, Cousin Alice smirked, her new diamond catching the light. What was it again? Something with computers. Digital innovation, I replied softly, checking my decoy phone while my real one, controlling billions in assets, remained hidden in my clutch. Grandmother set down her chopsticks, her jade bracelets clinking. No husband, no success. That's what my mother taught me. Victoria could have married Peter Wu, Mom sighed. A doctor. Now he's chief of surgery. Or James Liu, Aunt Linda added. His investment firm is doing so well. My hidden phone vibrated again. The press release was ready. Instead, Cousin Alice continued, she plays businesswoman in that tiny office downtown. I hadn't told them that tiny office was actually a cover for my global headquarters. But they'd learn soon enough. The Zhang's daughter just got engaged to a bank executive, Mom pressed. She's younger than you. I'm focused on my work, I said, watching another notification flash. Everything was in place. Work. Grandmother scoffed. A woman's success comes from family. From marriage. From building a proper life, Aunt May finished. Not these modern notions of career first. My real phone buzzed again. The financial markets were ready for tomorrow's revelation. Even your sister understood, Mom added. Look at Grace, married to a successful businessman, 2 beautiful children. And I'm very happy for her, I replied calmly. Happy. Grandmother's voice turned sharp. You're 34, unmarried, playing with computers while your cousins build real families. I checked my watch, my actual watch, worth more than their combined jewelry collections. About that. The Wong's son is still single, Aunt Linda suggested hopefully. His family owns that nice restaurant chain. I'm not interested in marriage right now. Not interested? Alice laughed. Or not able to find someone who wants a career woman with no traditional values? The family butler, Mr. Zhang, actually my chief of operations, appeared by the television. Pardon the interruption, but there's an important broadcast. Not during dinner, Grandmother waved him off. I insist, he said firmly, pressing the remote. The screen lit up with breaking news. Tech pioneer Victoria Chin reveals $7 billion digital empire. Sources say the secretive CEO built her technology conglomerate while her traditional family believed she was failing. Mom's porcelain spoon clattered against her bowl. Grandmother's jade bracelets froze mid-clink. I pulled out my real phone, the secure device that controlled my corporate empire, and opened my emails. You should watch this part, I suggested mildly. They're about to discuss how my little website revolutionized global digital infrastructure. While you were all counting my empty ring fingers, I was counting my billions. Billions? Alice whispered, her new diamond suddenly looking very small. Yes, I confirmed, standing as my actual phone lit up with urgent messages. Now if you'll excuse me, I have an empire to run. One built without a husband's help. The sound of shattering traditional expectations provided perfect background music as I prepared to shatter their world completely. The news anchor continued. Chen's breakthrough digital platform ValueStream has been quietly dominating global markets. Her technology powers everything from major financial institutions to government infrastructure. Impossible, Aunt Linda breathed. Victoria's office. It's above a noodle shop. A noodle shop I own, I corrected. Along with the entire building. And most of the downtown district. The tiny office was just a convenient cover while I built something bigger than your traditional measures of success. Mr. Zhang stepped forward, tablet in hand. Miss Chen, the global markets are awaiting your announcement. The Forbes interview is scheduled in 20 minutes. Forbes. Mom's voice cracked. Our Victoria? The same daughter you thought was failing because she chose code over marriage, I replied, gathering my things. Though I should mention that tiny office above the noodle shop? It's actually the command center for Asia's largest tech conglomerate. Grandmother's prized jade teacup slipped from her fingers, its delicate crash punctuating the silence that followed. The press conference begins shortly, Mr. Zhang announced. Your helicopter is waiting on the back lawn. Helicopter. Alice's new engagement ring suddenly looked very dull indeed. One of them, I smiled. I find traditional transportation rather limiting. Rather like traditional expectations of success. The dining room erupted into chaos as more notifications flooded their phones. Alice frantically pulled up financial news sites, her diamond-adorned hand shaking. Aunt Linda speed-dialed her stockbroker husband while Mom stared at the TV in silent shock. ValueStream Technologies, the anchor continued, has been the mysterious force behind global digital transformation. CEO Victoria Chen's innovative platform has revolutionized. But you work in that small office, Aunt May whispered. Above the Golden Dragon. The Golden Dragon is just one of my properties, I replied, responding to urgent emails on my quantum-secured device. Along with 30 other buildings in the Asian quarter. Amazing what you can acquire when everyone underestimates you. Grandmother's jade bracelets clinked nervously as she reached for her phone. These numbers... Billions? 7.2 now, Mr. Zhang corrected, checking his tablet. The European markets just opened. They're quite excited about Ms. Chen's revelation. The dining room doors opened as my executive team entered, sharp suits, tablets, and expressions that made Alice's banker fiancé look like a small-time teller. Ms. Chen, my CFO Sarah Wu nodded. The global announcement is ready. Singapore is particularly eager for your address. Singapore. Mom's voice cracked. Among others, I smiled. Though Tokyo's more interested in our AI integration plans. Speaking of plans. I turned to Alice. How is your fiancé's bank doing? The one that's been trying to license our technology. Alice's new ring caught the light as her hand trembled. Peter's bank uses your? Everyone's bank uses our systems, I confirmed. Along with most global financial institutions. That little website you mocked? It processes trillions in transactions daily. The TV switched to a new segment. Sources say Chen built her empire in secret, using traditional family disapproval as cover while acquiring major tech assets. Assets. Aunt Linda found her voice. What assets? Mr. Zhang displayed a holographic projection from his tablet. ValueStream's current holdings. 47% of global digital infrastructure, controlling interest in major Asian tech firms, and significant real estate portfolios. Including, he paused meaningfully. This mansion. Grandmother's jade teacup clattered against its saucer. Pie house. Pie house, I corrected gently. I bought it last year through a shell company, along with most of the family properties. I thought it might be useful when the time came to reshape certain, traditional perspectives. Mom's social media started pinging frantically as her friends discovered their modest daughter was now one of Asia's wealthiest women. The WHO conference call begins in 10 minutes, Sarah reminded me. They're eager to discuss the healthcare technology integration. Healthcare. Grace, my successful sister, spoke for the first time. Your computer work does medicine too? Our AI diagnostics platform is revolutionizing global healthcare, I confirmed. That doctor you married? His hospital runs on my technology. Though he probably didn't mention that during all those family dinners where you compared our different paths to success. The sound of Alice's engagement ring tapping nervously against her water glass created a fitting rhythm for their crumbling assumptions. However, I continued, standing to survey my family's new reality, I'm not vindictive, just progressive. Mr. Zhang has prepared documents outlining new opportunities for everyone. Opportunities? Aunt May's voice wavered. The Chin Family Foundation, Mr. Zhang explained, distributing elegant folders. Ms. Chin has established a significant trust. 4 family members who demonstrate commitment to modern definitions of success. Particularly female members interested in technology and business leadership. Grandmother's jade bracelets stilled. A foundation? To support women choosing unconventional paths, I confirmed. Those who might value innovation over tradition. Achievement over marriage. Rather like your unmarried granddaughter who built a billion-dollar empire while you were arranging introductions to restaurant owners. The helicopter's blades became audible in the distance. But, we're family, Mom protested weakly. Yes, I agreed. Which is why you're getting this chance at all. The next family dinner will be at my real home, the penthouse occupying the top 5 floors of the Chin Tower downtown. The building Alice said was wasting space on tech companies. I paused at the door. Oh, and Alice? That engagement ring you've been flashing all evening? My annual charitable giving is worth more than your fiancé's entire bank. Perhaps we should discuss redefining success. The dining room doors closed behind me, leaving them to contemplate their new existence in a world where their unmarried daughter, the one they'd dismissed as a failure, had redefined not just success, but power itself. The sound of their phones continuing to buzz with notifications provided perfect background music for their shocked silence. 3 hours later, I returned to the dining room after my global press conference. The power dynamics had shifted seismically. The traditional family portraits seemed to look down with new understanding at a very different scene below. Grandmother's jade bracelets lay silent on the table. Mom's social media had gone quiet after her circle discovered their modest Victoria was now one of Asia's most powerful CEOs. Alice's engagement ring no longer caught the light. She'd stopped gesturing with her left hand entirely. The global announcement exceeded expectations, I stated, settling into grandmother's traditional seat at the head of the table. Our stock is up 40%. Mr. Zhang. 43 now, he corrected, checking his tablet. The Western markets are particularly enthusiastic. The Times is calling it the Chin Revolution. All this time, Mom whispered, while we were arranging marriage meetings. I was building an empire, I completed. Every dinner I missed, every family gathering I was too busy for, every dismissive comment about my single status, I was creating something bigger than your traditional measures of success. Grace finally found her voice. The healthcare platform my husband uses is mine, I confirmed. Along with the banking systems your in-laws depend on, the security infrastructure protecting this city, and the digital backbone of modern Asia. Amazing what an unmarried woman can accomplish when everyone's too busy counting her ring fingers to notice her achievements. The dining room doors opened as Sarah returned. Ms. Chin, the Prime Minister, is waiting to discuss the National Tech Initiative. And the World Economic Forum has requested your keynote address. The Prime Minister? Aunt Linda's voice cracked. Among others, I smiled. Though Singapore's president is more interested in our AI education programs. Speaking of education, I turned to grandmother. Those traditional values you insisted on? They're becoming a case study in how not to recognize modern success. Grandmother's prized jade pieces seemed to dim in the light of my technological empire. However, I continued, standing to survey my new domain, I'm not here to reject tradition entirely. Just to redefine it. The foundation documents Mr. Zhang provided outline a new path forward. A path? Alice asked weakly. For the next generation of Qin women, I confirmed. Those who might value innovation over marriage, achievement over arrangement. The foundation will provide education, mentorship, and capital for those ready to embrace a modern definition of success. Mr. Zhang distributed additional documents. The complete prospectus, including the Qin Women in Technology Initiative. Ms. Qin has allocated significant resources to ensure future generations won't face the same traditional barriers. But our values, Grandmother started, are evolving, I finished. The jade bracelets you prize? I've just established a tech scholarship worth more than their entire value. 4 young women choosing computers over conventional expectations. The TV continued its coverage. Chen's revelation sends shockwaves through Asian business circles, challenging traditional notions of success and gender roles. The next generation of Qin women will have choices, I declared. Real choices, not just marriage prospects. They'll measure success by their achievements, not their engagement rings. Alice twisted her diamond nervously. These opportunities are open to everyone willing to embrace change, I confirmed. Even currently engaged cousins who might be reconsidering their limited definitions of success. Mom found her voice. Victoria, we didn't know. No, I agreed. You were too busy following traditional paths to see the new ones being forged. But now you do. The next family dinner will be at my real office, the one controlling Asia's digital future. I trust you'll all dress appropriately. After all. I smiled. Success has a new dress code. I moved toward the door, pausing by the ancestral shrine. You know what's interesting? Our great-grandmother was a merchant who built her own business, before tradition demanded she marry instead. I'm not breaking with our heritage, I'm reclaiming it. The helicopter's blades grew louder as my pilot signaled readiness. One more thing, I added. That matchmaker you hired last month? I bought her company this morning. She'll be helping us identify promising young women for our tech mentorship program instead. The sound of shattering traditions was almost audible as I walked out, leaving them to contemplate their new reality. The daughter they'd dismissed as unmarried and unsuccessful had just redefined success itself. In my real office atop the Qin Tower, surrounded by screens showing my growing empire, I allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. My bare left hand flew across holographic displays, controlling more power than any marriage could have offered. After all, the best revenge wasn't just success. It was success that transformed the very standards they'd used to judge you. The grand ballroom at Rosewood Manor glittered under cascading crystal chandeliers as I arranged white roses in tall silver vases, preparing for my sister Emma's wedding reception. 300 guests would soon celebrate in what many considered the most exclusive wedding venue in the county. I wore a simple black server's uniform, moving quietly between tables while the Thompson family bustled with pre-ceremony excitement. David, stop puttering around like hired help and come get ready, my stepmother Patricia called out, adjusting her designer mother-of-the-bride dress. She'd never quite understood why her stepson chose manual labor, when the Thompson family name opened doors to prestigious careers. I continued placing centerpieces with methodical precision, ensuring each arrangement met the venue's exacting standards. The imported French roses had arrived that morning, their petals perfect despite the complex logistics required to source them. Just making sure everything's perfect for Emma's big day, I replied quietly. My father, Robert Thompson, straightened his bow tie while reviewing the evening's timeline. At 58, he commanded respect as a successful corporate attorney, his client list including Fortune 500 companies and high-profile mergers. That's exactly the problem, son. You're 31 years old, thinking like service staff instead of family. The comment drew murmurs of agreement from my brother Michael, a successful investment banker, and my sister-in-law Jennifer, who'd recently made partner at her accounting firm. They'd both embraced the Thompson tradition of professional excellence, while I'd apparently chosen a different path entirely. Some people find their natural level early, my Uncle Charles observed, sipping champagne while watching me polish crystal glasses. Nothing shameful about understanding your limitations in life. My cousin Rebecca, a prominent real estate attorney, nodded approvingly. At least he's working instead of expecting family handouts. Better to contribute something than nothing at all. I methodically arranged silverware with practiced efficiency, each fork and knife positioned precisely 1 inch from the table edge. My phone buzzed with a text from my operations director. Nashville acquisition closing Monday. Board wants expansion timeline for West Coast properties. Emergency at the Phoenix location needs immediate attention. You know what David's problem is? Patricia announced to the gathered relatives. No vision for real achievement. He's content being invisible, serving successful people instead of joining their ranks. My Aunt Margaret raised her mimosa in agreement. Exactly. Look around this venue, David. Rosewood Manor costs $60,000 just for a Saturday evening. This is where winners celebrate life's milestones. The Rosewood Manor sparkled around us, its Georgian architecture featuring hand-carved moldings, imported marble floors and oil paintings worth more than most people's homes. Every detail reflected the kind of timeless elegance that required both substantial investment and impeccable taste to achieve. The attention to detail here is remarkable, commented Emma's new mother-in-law, surveying the opulent surroundings. You can tell this place has serious money behind it. Probably some hotel conglomerate or investment group. Regular people don't own properties like this. Definitely institutional ownership, agreed Dr. Williams, a successful surgeon who'd known our family for decades. This level of luxury requires tens of millions in capital investment. The grounds maintenance alone probably exceeds most people's annual salaries. I continued working silently, ensuring every aspect of Emma's celebration would meet the standards I'd established when I acquired the property 3 years ago. The hand-selected antiques, restored hardwood floors, and custom lighting design had required 18 months of careful renovation to achieve perfection. David should observe how real business operates, Robert suggested, gesturing around the magnificent ballroom. Maybe he could learn something about proper management instead of just working at those hotels downtown. Speaking of which, Michael addressed me directly while checking his Cartier watch. How's the hotel work progressing? Still coordinating events and managing staff. Event planning and venue operations, I replied simply, adjusting a floral arrangement. Same difference, he dismissed with a wave. Service work with an elevated title. At least you're consistently employed, which counts for something. The conversation flowed around me as I moved efficiently through my preparations, invisible to my family despite working just feet away. They discussed stock portfolios, legal strategies, medical procedures, the familiar soundtrack of their achievement-focused discussions while I ensured their celebration remained flawless. You know what David really needs? Jennifer announced with the confidence of someone who'd just earned partnership at a Big Four accounting firm. A realistic assessment of what genuine success looks like. He's living in denial about the difference between serving excellence and creating it. Some people are natural followers, Charles nodded with authority. Nothing wrong with accepting your role in the hierarchy. The hospitality industry requires workers at every level. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my acquisitions team. Napa Valley Vineyard Estate approved by shareholders. Need CO authorization for final documentation. Also, the mayor's office wants to discuss the waterfront development project. I silenced the device and continued working. The reality is, Margaret continued, David could achieve more if he properly applied his intelligence. He has Thompson genetics. He simply lacks the ambition to leverage them for meaningful success. Meaningful success requires meaningful sacrifice, Michael added, swirling his aged whiskey thoughtfully. Business school was demanding but observe the results. Respected position, substantial income, membership at exclusive venues like this. That's what happens when you refuse to accept mediocrity. Robert raised his crystal tumbler in a paternal toast. To Emma's wedding day and to all of us who've worked diligently to earn our place at celebrations like this. May we never forget that true achievement comes to those who demand excellence from themselves. The family raised their glasses in harmony, the crystal singing softly as they touched together. I observed from my position at the service station, noting how the afternoon light caught the amber spirits, how the baccarat crystal reflected the warm glow streaming through stained glass windows. And David, Robert added with fatherly authority, perhaps someday you'll comprehend what it means to aspire beyond serving other people's accomplishments. The words lingered in the manor's pristine air as I folded linen napkins with mechanical precision. Each crease was exact, each corner perfectly aligned. The expertise came from years of hospitality experience, though my family interpreted it as evidence of my limited potential. He probably considers this impressive, Patricia whispered audibly. Working at an exclusive venue, being around accomplished people. But there's a fundamental difference between serving luxury and creating it. The venue's general manager, Elizabeth Carter, approached our gathering with professional grace. Her movements reflected years of managing high-profile events, understanding that discretion and excellence were equally important when serving elite clientele at prestigious properties. "Good afternoon," Elizabeth addressed the family with practiced warmth. "I trust all preparations are proceeding smoothly for Ms. Thompson's wedding?" "Absolutely exceptional," Robert replied, relaxed from premium spirits and familial pride. "This venue represents everything we value about quality and tradition. You should feel honored to work for such a distinguished establishment." "Thank you, sir," Elizabeth smiled professionally. "We take immense pride in maintaining the highest standards. In fact, today marks a particularly significant milestone for our organization." "Oh?" Emma asked with curious interest, her wedding dress rustling softly. "Yes, we're expecting several important announcements regarding our expansion strategy. Our ownership has been growing aggressively, and today represents a major achievement in that development." The family exchanged intrigued glances. Robert leaned forward with businessman's instincts. "Expansion? That's impressive in today's competitive market. Requires serious capital and strategic vision." "Exceptional vision," Elizabeth confirmed. "Our owner has developed a remarkable portfolio of premium venues across multiple regions, all maintaining this caliber of excellence." Patricia practically beamed with fascination. How thrilling to witness such entrepreneurial success. The owner must possess extraordinary business acumen. I continued my preparations silently, replacing water goblets and adjusting the imported orchid centerpieces. The flowers had been specially cultivated in Costa Rica, their exotic beauty adding natural elegance to the ballroom's formal sophistication. My family remained completely engrossed in their conversation with Elizabeth, unaware they were discussing my life's achievement. "The owner must experience tremendous pressure," Michael mused. "Operating multiple luxury properties while maintaining these standards requires CEO-level capabilities." "Actually," Elizabeth replied with a knowing smile, "our owner manages pressure exceptionally well. Very hands-on, very detail-oriented. He's been here all afternoon, personally ensuring everything exceeds his exacting standards." "How dedicated," Margaret observed approvingly. "That level of personal involvement is rare in today's corporate environment." My phone vibrated with an urgent message from my board of directors. Quarterly meeting moved to 5 p.m. European acquisition requires immediate approval. Legal team standing by for signature authorization. I glanced at the notification and looked toward the manor's executive offices. The venue buzzed with subtle anticipation as staff recognized that today's celebration would include significant business announcements. Servers moved with extra precision, each interaction calibrated to perfection. The grounds crew had manicured every blade of grass to competition standards. "You know what's fascinating?" Michael said, contemplating his whiskey thoughtfully. "The owner probably began exactly where David is now. Learning hospitality from foundational levels, understanding every operational detail. The difference," Robert interjected decisively, "is vision and execution. The owner possessed the intelligence to perceive larger possibilities and the determination to achieve them. David seems satisfied with his current limitations. Maybe David simply needs better inspiration," Jennifer suggested diplomatically. "Observing what becomes possible when someone truly commits to excellence." The conversation was interrupted by urgent movement near the manor's main entrance. Several executives in impeccable business attire approached our section, their presence commanding immediate attention from the venue staff. They moved with measured confidence characteristic of people accustomed to making decisions affecting millions of dollars. Elizabeth straightened as the group approached. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced to our gathering, "I'd like you to meet the executive board of Thompson Venue Holdings." My family fell silent, suddenly recognizing they were witnessing serious corporate authority. Robert set down his whiskey with careful precision, his legal experience recognizing the gravity of the moment. The lead executive, a distinguished gentleman named Harrison Wells, surveyed the wedding preparations before addressing Elizabeth. "Is Mr. Thompson available? The board has assembled for our emergency session regarding the Phoenix property crisis." "Certainly," Elizabeth replied, then turned toward me with professional respect. "Mr. Thompson, your board of directors is ready." The revelation struck my family like perfectly timed thunder, illuminating everything they believed about success, achievement, and their own son's position in the world. Emma's face went pale beneath her wedding makeup, her bouquet trembling in her hands. Harrison Wells continued, oblivious to the family dynamics unfolding nearby. "Congratulations on another exceptional quarter, Mr. Thompson. The 9-venue portfolio now generates over $400 million in annual revenue, with recent acquisitions surpassing all projections." I adjusted my server's apron and nodded calmly. "Thank you, Harrison. What's the nature of the Phoenix emergency?" "Kitchen fire at the flagship location. No injuries, but we need immediate authorization for emergency renovations and guest relocations to our backup facilities." 9 venues. Patricia whispered, her voice barely audible above the classical music. "Thompson Venue Holdings operates premier wedding and event facilities across 6 states, Harrison confirmed, with aggressive expansion plans for international markets. Mr. Thompson has revolutionized the luxury event experience while maintaining the personal attention that distinguishes each property." Michael's investment banking confidence evaporated as he grasped the scale of what he'd just discovered. His recent promotion suddenly seemed insignificant compared to building and operating a multi-state hospitality empire before age 35. "I should mention," I said calmly to Harrison, "that today's celebration is my sister Emma's wedding. We're using this as an opportunity to showcase our service standards to family and friends." "Excellent strategy," Harrison smiled warmly. "Family celebrations provide the perfect demonstration of our commitment to creating unforgettable experiences." Robert had become completely speechless, his legal expertise somehow inadequate for processing that his son had built a business empire while the family criticized his supposed lack of ambition. "Mr. Thompson," Harrison continued, "Forbes wants a statement about your expansion strategy. This makes you the youngest entrepreneur to control a venue portfolio of this magnitude on the East Coast." My phone buzzed with notifications from my CFO, my legal counsel, my operations managers across multiple states. The business empire I'd constructed while my family assumed I was just working hotels required constant strategic decisions and leadership oversight. "If you'll excuse me," I said to my stunned family, "I have an emergency board meeting that requires immediate attention. Elizabeth will ensure Emma's reception proceeds flawlessly." As I walked toward the Manor's executive conference room, I heard Robert whisper urgently to Patricia, "How long has he been building this? How did we completely miss it?" The answer naturally was years. Years during which they'd been too busy explaining my limitations to recognize my achievements, too confident in their assumptions to question their understanding, too focused on traditional career paths to notice excellence that didn't match their expectations. Emma's wedding celebration would continue in the magnificent ballroom, but the family dynamic had irrevocably shifted. The same crystal chandeliers would cast the same romantic light, the same orchestra would play the same beautiful music, and the same luxury would surround them as before.